Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and attention coach, Jeff Copper. And in this video, I want to talk about behavior and really what to look for to manage behavior. Before we do that, we'd like to make you aware of children and adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as CHAD. It's a place where you can find evidence-based and evidence-informed information on ADHD. Just go to chadd.org. Okay. So behavior. There's a really good quote one time that I've used a lot. It's, the sun doesn't rotate around the earth, but without the right technology, it looks like it does. You think about that, it's a really great metaphor. Human beings, we tend to be very visual. We watch what we can see and we observe behavior that's visible. And often we're trying to manage behavior based off of what we can see. My years as an ADHD coach, I've come to realize executive function is executive function. There's different components of it. When I'm coaching people, and even on this channel, I spend a lot of time talking about different components of executive function. There's emotional self-regulation. That's a big piece of it. Working memory. I've got a lot of stuff on working memory. Playing with information in your mind. Again, this is all executive functioning stuff. And all this I do to create self-awareness so that you can have self-restraint. Those two things, awareness and restraint, enables you to self-regulate. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to illuminate to you is most people look at their behavior and try to manage that. What I found is your behavior is a reflection of your cognitive behavior, which is a reflection of cognitive constraints. So what does that mean? A lot of times people with ADHD, they'll look at their behavior and they won't own it. So I never forget, I was coaching a guy for a couple of years, struggled with emotional self-regulation. And it's really clear, people with ADHD, they struggle with repetitive and boring tasks. And to my surprise, one day I was coaching around something and he came up with a way to deal with it that it was a repetitive and boring thing that he had to do every day. And I said, let me ask you a question. Tell me, and by the way, he's in his mid-40s. Tell me a time in your life where you did something on a regular basis that had those characteristics for more than 30 days. And he thought and goes, I can't think of any. And I go, okay, so what makes you think you're going to be able to do that now? 45 years of not. The point really is that cognitively, some cognitive constraints, and his cognitive behavior resulted in his physical behavior, and he was focused really on what he wanted to do and wasn't really self-aware to acknowledge what he was actually going to do. The point really here is, if you really pay attention to your cognitive behavior that manifests as your physical behavior and acknowledge it, and you begin to think, how can I manage my behavior from a cognitive basis? It actually gives you a brand new lens to see things in a way that you didn't see before. In fact, often you'll actually see a lot of things that you're actually doing right, given those cognitive constraints. So here's my point. People with ADHD, it is hard for you to think sometimes and think through some stuff. But as I say, if the obvious solution isn't working, you're a good chance you're paying attention to the wrong thing. And people do a lot of paying attention to visible behavior when it's actually cognitive behavior. Case in point, if you listen to any of my videos on working memory is taxing for people with ADHD. It's hard. And so what happens when it's hard, they escape, they do something else. What that looks like is a focus issue. And it is, however, the root isn't just willpower and focus, it's a taxed working memory. You want to manage that behavior, you got to make thinking easier, you got to make it easier for your working memory, and then you won't escape so much. So anyway, the point of the video is to give you some insight that sometimes you're just looking at the surface type stuff and you've got to look under the hood a little bit to really understand what's managing it. And if you want to manage your behavior, you need to get in touch with your cognitive behavior and cognitive constraints. Focus on what you will do, not what you think you should do. Hope this is giving you a pause to think. For those out there who just want a tip, trick, or strategy, I'm sorry I didn't meet your expectation on this. Good luck finding that. You might be back here, a couple of years from now, realizing the long cut's the way to do this. If you're new, subscribe to our channel. We like to share insights and thoughts. We do share some tips and tricks, but it really helped for creativity. Also, anyway, subscribe to our channel. Also, leave a comment. What do you think? Does this make sense to you? Do you have your own story to share? We'd certainly appreciate it. Take care.